Got a city employee down here getting all these scooters off the belt line. Those need to go too. There's his truck.
This week, advocates now wait for the U.S. Supreme Court to make its decision on whether people can sue over some violations to the Americans with Disabilities Act. Claire Stanley can't see. Screen reading software helps her read websites and do her job, lobbying on behalf of the National Disability Rights Network.
So if a website's not designed to be compatible with screen reading software or other assistive technology, those of us who are blind or people with other types of disabilities can't access those online resources.
Alongside her guide dog, Tulane, Stanley is pushing for legislation to make that happen. At the same time, worrying that the U.S. Supreme Court is about to make things harder for people living with disabilities.
No doubt.
So it's a big case that would be impacting what we can do with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
It centers around a Florida woman who lives with disabilities trying to sue a hotel chain over not listing accommodations on their website. The woman admitting she never intended to visit the hotel, causing a lower court judge to dismiss the case. The Supreme Court is now trying to figure out whether that woman has the right to sue.
We're never going to condone the work of people who are just taking advantage of the system. But again, there's hundreds and thousands of other people who need that information. And so we shouldn't penalize the whole community for the bad acts of, just a couple of other people.
I spoke with Evelyn Clark, an international trade lawyer in Washington, D.C., who became disabled at 22 years old.
And then 6 months after college, I had a T6 level spinal cord injury, and now use a wheelchair.
Clark is concerned that broad use of test cases may be creating an unwanted stigma against the disability community.
So I think there's also a real danger in expanding standing that allows anyone to file a lawsuit over anything, even if they're not personally harmed.
Clark says that she believes most businesses do want to be ADA compliant and says a notice and cure method may be the better option, where the business is alerted of an ADA violation and has a certain time frame to fix it.
The argument that it's adding an additional burden on the disabled community, I would say that we're already burdened with filing a lawsuit and going through an entire lawsuit to get access.
Clark says it's a tough sell among disability rights activists, Claire Stanley included.
The ADA was passed 33 years ago. They should have already been on notice. But then, two, the cure, I personally think is really inappropriate because they get this time frame to fix it, whereas you shouldn't have to wait for a service.
The ADA became law 33 years ago and still no federal agency enforces it, which is why advocates view testers as playing such an important role. The Supreme Court is expected to rule on the case, which could decide.
In the toilet. They don't do the laundry. They take their clothes and they put into the toilet and flush the toilet. They're vandalizing the building. They make noise. They run through the corridor naked. Nothing but problem. So I said, there needs to be a formula of how to handle those people. So I said those people need to be rehabilitated before you put them into a normal lifestyle of housing. So I came up with a solution. And I said, I have a huge building, can accommodate 2,500 units, 2,500 beds. And in that 2,500 units, not only housing, it's a rehabilitation center. You have a lot of services in that under one roof. First of all, you have a medical clinic to check their health, dental office, barber shop, manicure pedicure for the ladies, and other services for people.
Like pet care too,
Pet care too, exactly. For them, a lot of them have pets.
And they don't want to go into housing because
exactly.
their pets
They will not come to your they will not come to your facility without
I
bringing
looked
the
at
pets.
your
So
plan.
we have that section 2 for them. We did everything possible to basically make it comfortable for those homeless people to come and start getting rehabilitated. Again, I keep on repeating rehabilitating, and I'm explaining why. You bring professional people to basically see what is their issue and try to work on the issue, provide them with the proper medication, try to get them off drugs, try to get them off alcohol. and as they progress, put them into job training. The ones that they have mentally ill, that you cannot control them, we are not going to be able to take care of them. You need to transfer them to a mentally ill hospital. But the one that you see progress out of them, you put them into job training, which good amount of them can get job training, and good amount of them can basically go get a job. They'll get a job. They'll find there is a demand, huge demand for jobs out there. There is no reason for people to be on the street.
With no hope, and when you're in the streets, you have nothing to do, no future, no hope, no sense of purpose.
So build the hope, rebuild the hope, get them a job, and those people potentially will survive on their own with the job that they have and not depend on the government for the rest of their life, for heaven's sake. I went and I preached it to our elected officials.
And I saw your proposal. This is a very comprehensive proposal. You guys
In
did
detail.
a lot of
I
work.
spell
on
it out
building.
in detail. It will cost our government, today the government pay approximately $90 to $100 per person in a homeless shelter. To go into a homeless shelter, they're paying $90 to $100 per person per day. I came up with a formula that I can get it done for less than $100 for the Life Rebuilding Center. It's a place for them to stay, to sleep in, and get taken care of, and professional people will help them to get back to their normal life,
To
bring
get
their
training,
dignity
So,
back. in
so
life.
you help them with the therapy
Train
and all
them
that, and train
throughout-
them and get them
throughout
back
the
into
whole 9 yards.
society. So essentially, it's a campus for people to come in to help them psychologically, whatever they need help, and then from there they can hopefully get skills and graduate to the society.
to a job, and then if they're not making enough money to pay for rent, so give them a system rent, like vouchers, like Section 8. And I have another 10 acres of real estate right next door to my 1,000,008 square feet. And we said we can build low-income housing, Section 8 units, for those people. If they cannot afford go get a job and live on their own on a market rate unit, they can come back to a Section 8. I basically laid out to them every step by step. And when I brought it out, it was during election time. I brought it out before, but then election time came. And when I went to our elected officials, every one of our elected officials loved the idea, and very much agree and very much supportive of it. Once they get elected or did not get, the one that did not get elected couldn't help, but the one that got elected just forgot all about it. Literally forgot all about it. And that is the sad thing. They're looking through other things that don't work.
They get elected
They've been
and then
doing
they
this for so
screw
many
you.
years, for so long. It doesn't work. Try other ideas.
So how
War alert, along with a new operation called Swords of Iron meant to target Hamas. In a video message, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vows that the enemy will, quote, pay an unprecedented price. Israelis who live near Gaza are being told to stay in their homes. And President Joe Biden issuing a statement condemning those surprise attacks in Israel. The statement was released after Biden spoke with the Prime Minister this morning. The president describes the attacks as, quote, horrific and ongoing. Biden says he made clear to Netanyahu that the U.S. stands ready to, quote, offer all appropriate means of support to the government and people of Israel. The president also says that Israel has a right to defend itself, and his administration's support for Israel is, quote, rock solid and unwavering. The Israeli emergency services estimate that at least 200 Israelis are dead, and the Israeli Health Ministry says over 1,000 have been wounded. The Palestinian Health Ministry says nearly 200 Palestinians are dead, and more than 1,600 are wounded. Disability rights advocate
members. If we want to have more protection and more feeling of security and safety, I think that EU should come to that decision to make the enlargement process alive again.
6 Balkan countries, including Serbia, Kosovo, Bosnia, and Montenegro, are at different stages of integration into the bloc. That process has stalled since 2013, when Balkan state Croatia became the EU's newest member. Now, with Russia's war in Ukraine, integration of the Western Balkans appear to carry a new geopolitical urgency.
If we don't do that, we will give the opportunity for the impact of Russia, for the impact of China.
Ukraine also is seeking to join the bloc.
Coming up, reports of Chinese espionage targeting U.S. military bases under investigation by Oversight Committee Chair James Comer and others. Under Beijing's national intelligence law, Chinese nationals are compelled to cooperate with the Chinese Communist Party even when they're living abroad. And back in August, the Justice Department arrested and charged 2 U.S. Navy sailors for delivering military secrets to Chinese intelligence officers. With national security on the line, what lies ahead for U.S.-China relations? To discuss, we sat down with Adam Savitt, the Director of China Policy Initiative at AFPI.
No time period is more closely associated with the production of the tools of war and the realignment of nations than the years 1939 to 1945.